Dear viewers, have you ever stopped to ask yourself, am I really in control of my life? Or is every decision, from what you buy, how you react to a news story, to how you feel about yourself, pre-planned by someone? In the age of information explosion, where with just one click you can receive thousands of pieces of information every day, the ability to think independently and deeply understand your own values gradually being eroded. Psychological manipulation strategies are being developed so sophisticatedly, from crisis discount tricks to mind-reading algorithms, that make you always feel the need to meet society's expectations. If you only hear my advice once, you should watch it to the end. Listen to it over and over again. When you have free time or are doing housework, share and save the playlist for your convenience. I am sure that within a few short months, your intelligence will grow to a new level. This call is not only a reminder, but also a commitment to yourself. A promise that, if you persevere and practice, you will gradually realize the laws that govern life, thereby mastering yourself and reaching success. A journey to discover manipulation strategies, thereby helping you realize the naked truth: you are not completely the master of your decisions. But more importantly, it will equip you with the thinking tools to fight against that manipulation, helping you master your life, regain control, and live according to your true values. Chapter 1. The Mechanisms of Psychological Manipulation. Realizing that your life is never true freedom. Dear friend, have you ever stopped to ask yourself, am I in control of my own life? When you open your eyes every morning, do you think that every decision you make, from how you choose to shop, what information to believe, or even how you react to an event, once been prearranged and controlled by invisible hands? You may be confident that you are free to choose. But in reality, every decision you make may have been influenced by a sophisticated system of manipulation that you are not aware of. In today's world, we live in a constant flow of information, from sensational news headlines, short, emotional video clips to super cool advertising campaigns designed to grab your attention in seconds. And what's even more surprising is that all of this is not just entertainment or news, it's also a tool to control your thoughts and behavior. In this chapter, we'll delve into the mechanics of psychological manipulation, exploring how systems from social media algorithms to advertising strategies shape your thinking in ways you never expected. You'll realize that, although you seem free and independent, your decisions are actually programmed in advance. Psychological manipulation, the art of control. Psychological manipulation is not a new phenomenon, but in the current digital age, it has become more sophisticated and widespread than ever. Psychologists and media experts have proven that people are easily influenced by messages, images, and sounds that are intentionally arranged. For example, have you ever felt excited when watching a video advertising a super big discount that you never thought you needed? Or have you ever wondered why every time you open social networks, you immediately feel on trend without really considering it? That is because the psychological manipulation system has been set up to exploit the inherent weaknesses of humans: fear, greed, the desire for recognition, and the need to feel a sense of belonging to a group. These elements are meticulously applied in modern communication strategies. For example, when you receive a notification sale for 24 hours only a few left, you are attracted not only by the great price, but also by the feeling of FOMO, fear of missing out. This makes you act immediately, even though you may not have needed that product. Or when you see a negative news headline, disaster is coming, no one is safe, you may feel panic, fear, and seek immediate protection measures, even though the actual risk level may not be as high as advertised. The psychological manipulation system is the art of controlling people without you knowing that you are trapped. It uses strategies such as emotional manipulation, information control, and crowd effect to make you lose the ability to orient your thinking. You then become a puppet of those who want to exploit you, even though you believe you are making decisions freely. Common manipulation strategies. Let's explore 3 psychological manipulation strategies that the system uses to control your thoughts and behaviors. Emotional manipulation. Emotions are the most powerful tools of humans, but also the weaknesses that are easily exploited. Fear. Negative messages are repeated to stimulate your fear. Fear of loss, fear of failure, fear of the future. Greed. Advertising often uses images of wealth, success, and recognition to appeal to the desire to belong to a group, to assert oneself. The desire for recognition, likes, shares, and praise from the online community have become the standard for you to feel valuable. These factors not only drive consumer behavior, but also influence how you think about yourself and the world around you. When you feel afraid or deprived, you are easily led to make decisions based on temporary emotions rather than reason. Information manipulation. Not all information comes from an objective source. Today's media platforms use sophisticated algorithms to package information in a way that they want you to see. Content selection. You are only exposed to a partial truth, content that suits your interests and behaviors, preventing you from fully accessing different perspectives. Sensational headlines. Headlines are designed to stimulate curiosity and emotion, but do not provide deep analytical value. Images and sounds. These elements are chosen to make a strong impression, even though the actual information may be quite shallow. When information is adjusted to others' wishes, you gradually lose the ability to judge and question what you are seeing. You become dependent on what is presented and easily believe in pre-built illusions. Manipulating crowd behavior. The majority is always right effect is a powerful psychological phenomenon. Crowd pressure. When you see thousands of people supporting or sharing a certain idea or product, your brain automatically assumes that it is right and trustworthy. Desire to not be excluded. Humans tend to want to belong to a group, so you tend to follow the crowd to avoid being left out or seen as different. Herd effect. When you see everyone acting in a certain way, you are more likely to follow suit, even though it may not be the best choice for you. These tactics have been subtly applied to all aspects of life, from consumption to how you treat personal decisions. You may not realize it, but every time you follow the crowd, you are losing a part of your freedom to make independent decisions. The consequence of being manipulated. When you don't realize that you are being manipulated, the consequences can be extremely serious. Consumption decisions. You may buy unnecessary products just because you feel on trend, causing your wallet to be depleted without bringing real value. Information dependence. You lose the ability to ask questions and rely only on filtered information, leading to a narrow perception. Loss of autonomy. When all your decisions are directed from the outside, you gradually become controlled and no longer have the ability to decide your own life. This loss of control not only affects the financial aspect, but also affects the mind, reducing creativity and the ability to self-analyze and set personal goals. You gradually become part of the system, just going with the flow without any signs of awareness. Awareness of manipulating systems. The first step forward. The first step to regaining control of your life is to realize that you are being manipulated. Stop and ask yourself, am I truly free to choose, or is everything predetermined? Am I making decisions based on my own reason, or am I just being influenced by the crowd? Is the information I receive truly objective, or is it just a part of the truth presented in the way others want? When you start asking yourself these questions, you will gradually wake up and realize that not everything you think you control is really yours. This is the first step to fighting against the system of psychological manipulation. Be aware of manipulation. To strengthen your awareness and practice self-control, practice the following exercises. Decision journal. Every time you make a decision, no matter how small, write down why you acted that way. Ask yourself, where did this decision come from? Is this my own choice or just a reaction to the crowd? Over time, keeping this journal will help you recognize the automatic patterns of behavior that your manipulative system has created, thereby improving your ability to direct yourself. Meditation and mindfulness. Spend at least 15 minutes a day meditating, focusing on your breathing and letting your mind drift away from unnecessary thoughts. When you meditate, focus on asking yourself, what am I thinking? Are these thoughts my own? This will help you gradually distinguish between independent thoughts and those that are directed by external forces. Question every information. Every time you receive a piece of information, whether it is a social media headline, a video clip, or a news story, ask yourself, what is the source of this information? What is its purpose? Is it presented objectively, or is it just for attention? This process will help you practice your analytical skills and not be easily swept away by pre-packaged illusions. Real-life examples of manipulative systems. Let's look at some real-life examples to see how manipulative systems work in real life. Advertising and discount campaigns. Do you remember the last time you bought an item because of a shocking sale with the message, "Only 24 hours? Limited quantity left"? At that time, you were not only enticed by the attractive price, but also by the feeling of fear of missing out, FOMO. In reality, you may not have needed the item, but the manipulative strategy made you feel that you had to act immediately so as not to fall behind. Sensational news. On TV channels and online news sites, you often see shocking headlines such as "Disaster is coming," "No one is safe." These headlines are designed to trigger fear, making you believe that everything around you is dangerous. When your mind is dominated by fear, you are easily manipulated to act in ways that you would not voluntarily choose. Social media and the herd effect. When you scroll through social media, you often see hundreds or thousands of likes, shares, and comments on a post. The majority is always right effect makes you believe that if everyone agrees, it must be true. You will feel pressured to not participate for fear of being left out or judged as different. In reality, you are simply being manipulated by sophisticated strategies to maintain your attachment to that platform. Create awareness. Take over your mind. The most important step in fighting the manipulative system is to be aware, to realize that you are being controlled and thereby take back control of yourself. Remember, you are not the master of your decisions. Everything you think is your free choice may already be pre-directed. Mindfulness does not come from gathering more information, but from questioning, examining, and directing your thinking. To do this, you need to practice exercises such as keeping a decision journal, meditating, and questioning every piece of information you receive. Over time, you will gradually develop the ability to distinguish between independent thinking and ideas that are directed by the manipulative system. First of all, remember that the system of psychological manipulation is not something new. but has crept into every corner of modern life. Every time you shop, read the news, or surf social media, you are receiving a large amount of information packaged in a way that someone wants you to see. These strategies are not just for increasing sales or attracting views, but also for controlling your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Chapter 1 ends with the message that awareness of the system of manipulation is the key to starting to take back control of your life. Stop, ask yourself, and ask the hard questions about every decision you make. When you begin to realize that you are not as free as you think, that is when you begin to fight against external influences and live your own way. Chapter 2. Crowd Psychology. When your decisions are pre-oriented. Do you think you are independent? The truth is that you are being led by the crowd without knowing it. Imagine you are walking on a deserted road, suddenly seeing a group of people running in one direction. They shout, "Run fast, there is danger ahead." What will you do? Instinctively, you will also run, even though you have no idea what the danger is. This is the essence of crowd psychology, one of the most powerful psychological manipulation tools that the system is using to control all your decisions, from thoughts, emotions, to behaviors. What is crowd psychology? Why are people easily controlled by crowds? The concept of crowd psychology is a phenomenon when people lose the ability to think independently and act in the direction that the majority is doing, regardless of whether it is right or wrong. It was mentioned by the famous psychologist Gustave Le Bon in the book The Crowd, a study of the popular mind published in 1895. He discovered that when people blend into a crowd, they lose their individual reason, act on instinct, and are easily manipulated emotionally. Why are people easily controlled by the crowd? Because each of us has psychological weaknesses that the system has exploited thoroughly. Fear of isolation. You are afraid of being different, afraid of being judged as weird or stupid if you do not follow the majority. Feeling safe when following the crowd. When you see thousands of people doing the same thing, your brain automatically assumes that if many people do it, it must be right. Lack of critical thinking ability. When you are caught up in the flow of the crowd, you no longer have enough time and sobriety to analyze, ask questions, or verify information. How does the system take advantage of the crowd psychology to control you? Strategy 1. Create a fake herd effect. Remember the advertising campaigns you've seen. More than 10,000 people have taken this course and changed their lives. 90% of customers have purchased this product and are completely satisfied. There are only 100 tickets left for this event. If you don't act fast, you will miss the only opportunity of a lifetime. Sound familiar? The truth is, that number doesn't have to be real. It's just a fake effect created by the system to trigger the herd mentality in you. When you see many other people doing something, you will think that you should do it too, so as not to fall behind. Strategy 2. Manipulating emotions on social media. Have you ever wondered, why does a useless nonsense content get millions of views? Why does a false opinion spread strongly on TikTok or Facebook? The truth is, social media platforms use algorithms to push controversial and emotionally stimulating content to trend. When a content receives a lot of interactions, likes, comments, shares, it will be pushed more, making you feel that it is true, when in fact it is just a sophisticated manipulation. Strategy 3. The mob effect in politics and media. Television channels constantly report negative news about a certain political figure over and over again, making you gradually believe that he is really evil. Protests and social movements are organized with thousands of participants, making you believe that if I don't participate, I will be left behind. media campaigns to smear a business or brand, to direct public opinion into anger and boycott. How does your brain work when you're straight into a mob? The psychological mechanism when you are manipulated by a crowd. When you join a crowd, your brain falls into a state of living by instinct, losing reason and the ability to think logically. There are three psychological states that occur. Loss of individuality. You no longer think independently but act like part of the crowd. Extremely stimulated emotions. When you see others angry, you also get angry. When the crowd is crazy, you also shout without any reason. Loss of personal responsibility. You easily do things that you would never dare to do when you are alone, such as cursing, attacking, and even violence. Consequences of losing control in the crowd. You are easily manipulated by the system in every area. In consumption, buying hot trend products that you don't really need. In politics, supporting a social movement just because you see many others doing it. In relationships, losing your self-worth because you always try to follow the standards set by society. The secret to escape the herd effect and be the person who is in control of your decisions. The Escape from the Herd Mind Formula. Step 1. Identify your own emotions. When you feel swept away by the crowd, stop and ask yourself, why do I feel this way? Do I really want this, or am I just following the crowd? Step 2. Learn to think critically. Ask, who is controlling the information I am receiving? Is this information being manipulated? If I don't follow the crowd, what will happen? Step 3. Become an observer instead of a victim. When you see a trend or movement exploding, stop and observe. Don't be quick to believe. Don't be quick to act. 99% of people in this world are not really living their own lives. They are just acting according to what the crowd wants them to do. If you want to become a real strong person, a master of your mind, and control all your decisions, you must learn to separate yourself from the crowd mentality. If you have watched this far, congratulations! You have entered the 1% of awakened people in this world. Save this video. Watch it over and over again. Share it with people you care about so we can awaken together. Subscribe to the channel today so you don't miss out on content that helps you master your life and escape the system of psychological manipulation. Chapter 3. Emotional Manipulation Tactics. How they control you without you knowing. Emotions, the winners and the weaknesses of humanity. In the decisive moments of your life, do you often fall into a state of confusion, anxiety, or even strong emotions such as anger, fear, or greed? The answer lies in this. Your emotions do not always come from independent thoughts or from your own life experiences. They may have been constructed by invisible manipulation tactics. Humans are inherently very sensitive. From a young age, you have been shaped by the experiences and messages sent by adults, the media, and the surrounding environment. However, in today's world, the explosion of information and technology has created a system in which your emotions, which should be a natural result, have been exploited, twisted, and used as a tool to control you. The emotional manipulation system focuses on three main factors: fear, greed, and anger. When these emotions are activated, you are no longer capable of making independent decisions. Instead, you become a puppet, automatically reacting in the way the system wants you to, without you realizing it. Emotional manipulation tactics, weapons to control your decisions. Fear manipulation. Hitting the weakest point of the mind. Fear is one of the most powerful and primal emotions in humans. The manipulation system knows that when you are afraid, you are easily manipulated. Negative news, TV channels, Newspapers and social networks often continuously broadcast or post news warnings, disasters or crises. Headlines such as immediate disaster, no one is safe, are all aimed at stimulating fear, making you feel that the world is in chaos. Insurance advertising. Advertising campaigns for insurance or financial services often use tragic images, stories of failure, to make you worry about your future. When you are afraid, you will act automatically, such as buying insurance immediately, without realizing that it may just be a business ploy. When fear is triggered, you are often no longer able to make decisions based on reason. Instead, the emotion of fear will dominate your actions, making you susceptible to being pulled along with the flow that the system wants. Manipulating greed. When the desire to possess becomes the ultimate motivation, greed, the desire to have good, classy, and precious things, is an undeniable human motivation. Shocking discount advertising campaigns. You may remember that you were always drawn to the announcements of 24-hour sale only, or only 10 left on e-commerce sites. These campaigns not only increase sales but also stimulate greed, making you believe that if you don't buy now, you will be left behind. Luxury advertising. Images of cars, villas, famous brands presented in a lavish setting also aim to arouse in you the desire to be recognized and considered successful. When greed is awakened, you will easily make uncontrolled consumption decisions. Greed not only makes you act on emotions, but also makes you forget your true value. That happiness does not only come from owning material things, but also from freedom, autonomy, and the ability to live up to personal values. Manipulating anger. Activate the power of anger. Anger, when activated, can make you act passionately without thinking. Exposing campaigns and rumors. On social networks, videos or articles that exaggerate the truth, criticize individuals or organizations often cause the crowd to explode with anger. Political and social campaigns. Protests and social divisive campaigns are often staged to incite anger, making you lose the ability to analyze objectively and act on anger. When anger takes over your mind, you are easily tempted to engage in arguments, violence, or actions that you may later regret, because the decision made at that time is not based on reason or critical thinking. Emotional manipulation system. Using strategies to control your addiction. The emotional manipulation system works in a sophisticated and coordinated way, using a combination of strategies to completely control how you think and act. Here are some tactics you need to recognize. Crisis sale tactics and the scarcity effect. Remember those times when you received a notification of a great sale or a only 24 hours left campaign. This is not only a tactic to stimulate shopping, but also a way to trigger the fear of missing out, FOMO. You will feel pressured to act immediately because the system has used the fear of loss to make you lose control. This makes you make purchasing decisions not based on real needs, but just to escape feelings of anxiety and fear. Horse feeling tactics and the herd effect. On social media, the majority is always right effect is used to make you feel that if thousands of people share, like, or comment on a certain content, it must be true. You will automatically follow trends without thinking independently, because you believe that the consensus of the majority is proof of the value of that information. As a result, you become part of the crowd, losing the ability to self-orient and criticize the messages you receive. Expose tactics and manipulating outrage. Communication campaigns, especially on social media channels and YouTube, often use the expose tactic, pointing out the shortcomings of an individual or organization to incite public outrage. When the crowd is outraged, You are swept up in a storm of emotions that you are no longer able to analyze independently. These messages are often designed to shock, to appeal to your fear, anger, and desire for justice, and to make you act in ways that the system wants you to act in. Identify and respond to emotional manipulation tactics. The first step to protecting yourself from the negative effects of emotional manipulation tactics is to recognize them. Here are some strategies you can use. Question every decision. Whenever you feel triggered by a message, whether it's an ad, a post, or a news story, stop and ask yourself, why do I feel the need to act now? Is this my own choice, or is it just a reaction to the crowd? Does this message really bring me value, or is it just to exploit my fear and greed? Through this, you will gradually realize the tricks used to control your mind. Train critical thinking to analyze emotions. Develop the habit of asking questions and analyzing your own emotions. Don't rush to act based on your initial emotions. When you feel fear, ask yourself, is this fear really coming from the current situation, or is it just a product of the messages I have just received? When greed is aroused, check, do I really need this item, or am I just being dragged into the consumer trend created by advertising? Regularly asking yourself questions will help you gradually build an independent mindset that is not easily influenced by emotions and external information. Focus on inner peace. One of the most effective ways to counteract emotional manipulation tactics is to focus on cultivating inner peace through meditation and mindfulness. Spend 10-15 minutes a day meditating, focusing on your breathing, and observing your own thoughts and emotions without judgment. When your mind becomes peaceful, you will easily recognize which emotions are stimulated by the system and which are your own natural reactions. Building the ability to resist emotional manipulation. To truly master your emotions, you need to practice through specific exercises. Here are some exercises to help you develop the ability to distinguish and control emotions. Emotional diary. Objective. Record every strong emotion you experience in a day, from fear, greed to anger. Method. Every time you feel an unusual emotion, stop and write down what the emotion is, where it comes from, and how you reacted. At the end of the day, review your diary and ask yourself, is this emotion coming from personal experience, or is it the result of external influences? Through this exercise, you will gradually recognize the emotional patterns that the manipulative system is targeting, from which you can make timely adjustments. 1. Fix your emotions meditation. Objective. Help you identify and master emotions as soon as they appear. Method. Spend 10 minutes a day sitting quietly. Focus on your breathing and try to recognize the thoughts and emotions that arise without getting caught up in them. When a strong emotion arises, don't react immediately. Just observe and note it, then gradually allow the emotion to pass. This exercise helps you practice the ability to stand outside yourself, thereby enhancing your ability to reflect on your emotions and minimizing the impact of manipulation tactics. Question yourself before every action. Goal. Build the habit of asking questions before making decisions based on emotions. Method. Every time you are about to make a decision, shopping, responding to a post, attending an event, etc., stop and ask yourself, where did this decision come from? Is it really mine, or is it just a herd reaction? Record your answers and compare them to your future decisions to see if you are gradually developing independent thinking. By doing this, you will gradually learn to not let your emotions rule you, but always make decisions based on reason and personal values. Theory and culture of how emotions can be manipulated. The impact of social media platforms. Personalization algorithms. Every time you interact with a piece of content, the algorithm learns and then serves you similar content, keeping you more and more trapped in a homogeneous information loop. The like and share effect. These numbers are not only a measure of popularity, but also a psychological tool, making you believe that if everyone likes something, it must be true and trustworthy. Viral content and sensational headlines. Headlines like "shocking," "no one can believe it," or "disaster is happening," are designed to appeal to your fear and curiosity, making you easily share and spread the information without verifying the information yourself. The role of advertising and communications. Sophisticated advertising. Advertising goes beyond just selling a product. It tells a story, creating an illusion of the ideal life you can achieve if you buy it. Scarcity campaigns. Messages like "last 10, available," or "24-hour sale" not only stimulate greed, but also create a fear of missing out, causing you to act immediately without thinking it through. News and TV shows. Today's TV channels and newspapers often prioritize negative, panic-inducing news, which incites fear and makes viewers easily manipulated by emotions. These methods are not just business or communication tools, but also tactics used to control your behavior, from your consumer decisions to how you evaluate yourself. Mastering emotions. The secret to resisting manipulative tactics. Identify and detach emotions. First step. Recognize your own emotions as they arise. Observe and acknowledge them without reacting immediately. Detach emotions. Learn to look at emotions as an observer. Don't let them overwhelm your reasoning. Once you realize that you are being triggered by a message or a campaign, take the time to analyze and understand the source of that emotion. Training critical thinking to deal with manipulation. Ask why. Whenever you feel triggered by a strong emotion, ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? Is this really coming from my personal experience, or is it just the result of a manipulation strategy? Analyze information sources. Check the source of information, compare it with other sources, and build your own independent argument. Learn to let go of first impressions. Don't react too quickly to emotional messages. Give yourself time to listen, think, and analyze before making a decision. Build confidence and self-confidence in decision-making. Practice keeping an emotional journal. Record each emotion as it arises, why it occurs, and how you handle it. Over time, you will notice your patterns and have the opportunity to adjust so that you are not manipulated. Meditate and be mindful. Spending time each day meditating helps you regain peace and increase your self-awareness. When your mind is quiet, it is easier to distinguish between externally triggered emotions and your own internal thoughts. Challenge yourself to make unconventional decisions. Sometimes, to break the cycle of manipulation, you need to practice making unconventional decisions. Be confident in making your own choices, even when they go against the grain. When you understand that your emotions are not your own, but the result of carefully crafted manipulation tactics, you will realize that mastering your emotions is the key to regaining control of your life. The psychological manipulation system has been successful when you reacted emotionally without knowing that they were programmed in advance. But now, with awareness and critical thinking, you can gradually break down those barriers, regain your autonomy, and make decisions based on reason, on personal values, without being influenced by the emotional flow of the crowd. Let your emotions be your energy, not your ruler. When you learn to transform fear, greed, and anger into inner strength, you will no longer be controlled by manipulation tactics. With each decision that you make to gain control over your emotions, you are also taking back control of your life, a control that you may not have realized before. If you are ready to no longer be a victim of the manipulative system, start by asking yourself, why am I acting this way? And from there, gradually build an independent mind, a mind that is not affected by emotional exploitation strategies. Chapter 3 ends with the powerful message that, although the psychological manipulation system always tries to exploit your emotional weaknesses, only when you are aware of that and practice independent thinking can you truly master your emotions and no longer be a puppet in the hands of invisible hands. If you have followed this far, remember that each of your decisions is not just an action, but an affirmation of your freedom, of your autonomy, and of your true worth. Practice, ask questions, and dare to say no to things that don't belong to you. Because only when your emotions are under control can you truly be free to make the right decisions for your life. Chapter 4. Media, the most powerful manipulative tool in the 21st century. Do you think you're watching the news? The truth is that you're being guided. Every day when you open your phone, access Facebook, YouTube, or a news site, have you ever asked yourself, why do I see this news and not that news? Why do media outlets always emphasize negative news? Why do people seem to have the same opinion on a certain issue? If you have never asked these questions, here is some bad news for you. You are being manipulated without even knowing it. The modern media system is no longer simply a tool for providing objective information. Instead, it has become a giant machine where information is packaged, directed, and controlled to control your perception, emotions, and behavior. Media is no longer a provider of information. It is a tool for control of mind. Let's go back a few decades, when the media was in the hands of newspapers, radio, and television. At that time, the purpose of the media was to provide information and reflect the truth. But in the digital age, media has transformed into a highly sophisticated weapon of manipulation. Today, media is no longer simply an information industry. It is a tool for mind control. Consider the following. What you read in the press is not the whole truth. It is a selected part of the truth that has been presented. What you see on Facebook is not random information. It is the result of an algorithm that has predetermined what you will be interested in. What you see on YouTube is not content that you actually want to see. It is content that has been curated to keep you on the platform as long as possible. Simply put, you are not in control of the information you consume. The information controls you. Media strategies used to control you. The modern media uses many sophisticated tactics to manipulate your perceptions and decisions. Here are some of the most common. The crisis technique, making you feel unsatisfied. Have you noticed that the news is always filled with negative news? The economy is collapsing. War is coming. There is a pandemic. This is no coincidence. The media knows that negative news is more powerful than positive news. When you read this news, you feel anxious, scared, and insecure, and that is exactly what they want. Once you are afraid, you are more easily manipulated. You will seek out more information to feel safe, and you will believe the solutions the media offers, even though those solutions may be part of a manipulation scheme. The BLURNING, the truth technique, providing a series of conflicting information to confuse you. Have you ever felt confused when reading the news? For example, one day, the media says coffee is good for you. The next day, another report says, coffee can cause cancer. This conflicting information is not a mistake. It is a deliberate strategy. When you are constantly bombarded with conflicting information, you feel disoriented, not knowing what is true. And when you're lost, you rely on the media to lead you to the answer they want you to believe. Emotional manipulation techniques make you act emotionally, not reasonably. Take a look at the content you regularly see on Facebook, YouTube, or TikTok. Outrageous posts, touching, tear-jerking videos, shocking headlines. These are designed to trigger your emotions, to make you react immediately rather than think logically. Once you are emotionally driven, you will easily do what the media wants you to. You will click share without checking the facts. You will engage in online debates without realizing that you are just supporting a targeted media campaign. You will buy, donate, or support a campaign just because you feel emotionally drawn to it. The role of social media in cognitive manipulation. Today, social media has become the most powerful tool of psychological manipulation. Platforms like Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter are not simply places for you to connect with friends or entertain yourself. They are giant data collection machines, working to direct your thoughts in the way they want. Every action you take on social media, from the posts you like, the videos you watch for a long time, to the content you share, is collected and analyzed to predict your behavior. And from there, the algorithm will give you the content they want you to believe, want you to care about, want you to act. They don't need to control your thoughts directly. Just by controlling the information you access, they have controlled the way you think. How to escape from media manipulation. If you don't want to be controlled by the media system, you need to learn to actively select and analyze information independently. Here are some strategies to help you escape manipulation. Always question every piece of information you receive. Who is providing this information? What are their motives? Don't believe sensational headlines. Verify information from multiple sources. Limit your time on social media. Don't let algorithms dictate what you read. The media is more than just a news tool. It is the most powerful weapon of perception control in the 21st century. But now, you know the truth. You are no longer a victim of the system. You can choose to think independently and take control of your information. Chapter 5. Take back control. Master your mind and your values. The journey to true freedom. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, if everything around me disappeared, what would I have left? Who am I really? In a world where information, advertising, and trends are constantly directing your thinking, the answer to that question becomes even more important. It is only when you become aware of your core values, who you really are, not the image you project to the outside world, that you can begin to take back control of your life. The journey to taking back control is not an easy one. It requires you to face your fears, failures, and illusions that the system has created. But remember, true freedom does not come from avoiding difficulties, but from facing them and turning them into inner strength. Identify your core values. Ask yourself, to live by your values, the first thing you need to do is ask yourself these core questions. What do I really want from this life? What are my core values? If everything else were to disappear, what would still be mine? These questions will help you separate the values that society defines from your own true values. As you gradually discover your true self, you will no longer be subject to the standards, prejudices, and expectations imposed by others. Awareness of external guidance. In modern society, the media, advertising, and social media constantly smear you with images, messages, and standards of living. These do not always reflect your true values. but are often just a way to make you feel like you have to act in a certain way. Ask yourself, am I living according to my own values, or am I just following what others think is right? When you realize this truth, you can begin to step out of the manipulation loop and take back control of your life. Train your independent thinking. Develop critical thinking. One of the keys to regaining control is developing critical thinking. Ask why. Whenever you receive information or are about to make a decision, ask yourself, why do I feel this way? Compare information. Seek out multiple sources to verify the facts. Build your own argument based on data and analysis. Form your own opinion instead of just following the crowd. Developing critical thinking not only helps you identify manipulation tactics, but also allows you to make decisions based on your own values and goals. Learn to say no to the crowd. To be independent, you need to learn to say no to things that don't align with your personal values, despite social pressure. Set boundaries. Be clear about what you're willing to accept and what you can't compromise on. Express your views. Don't be afraid to share your thoughts, even if they may contradict common stereotypes. Be firm in your decisions. Confidence comes from knowing what you need and standing up for it. Transform energy from manipulation to inner power. Regain control of your mind. Once you realize that all your decisions are being influenced by manipulative tactics, the next step is to learn how to transform negative energy into inner power. Meditation and mindfulness. Spend at least 15 minutes a day meditating, focusing on your breathing and listening to your own mind. This helps you turn off the noise from the outside and focus on your inner self. Keep a self-control journal. Record your emotions and thoughts whenever you feel overwhelmed. Over time, you will recognize patterns and learn to self-regulate. Practice self-questioning every day. Before making any decision, pause and ask yourself, is this my own choice, or is it just the result of outside influences? These exercises not only help you develop self-control, but also turn each decision into a step towards true freedom. Rebuilding personal values. To take control of your life, you need to know your own values and not let anyone define them for you. Identify your core values. Take time to reflect on what matters most to you, from your passions, interests, to the principles you believe in. Create life goals based on those values. Don't pursue success just because society praises you, but aim for goals that help you become the best version of yourself. Act on your own plan. Set specific, step-by-step goals to move closer to the values you have defined for yourself. When your values are built on self-awareness and independent thinking, you will no longer be easily manipulated by messages from the outside. The journey to becoming a controlled person. True freedom. Not relying on external approval. Once you take back control, you will realize that true freedom does not come from possessing external things or being recognized by others, but from being able to master your own mind, emotions, and actions. No need to prove yourself. You will no longer feel the need to follow social standards or follow trends to be recognized. Live by your personal values. All your decisions and actions come from your core values, not influenced by external pressures. Sustainable success. When you live your own path based on independent thinking and self-reliance, success will come as a natural consequence of that process. Learn how to face failure and turn it into a lesson. No one is perfect, and failure is an inevitable part of life. But what sets people who take control of their lives apart is that they turn failure into a lesson for growth. Don't let failure define you. Every failure is an opportunity to learn, improve, and become stronger. See failure as a valuable lesson. When faced with failure, ask yourself, what did I learn from this? What can I do differently next time? Persistence and persistence. Never give up. Use each failure as a building block for future success. Build a life model according to your own values. To truly take control of your life, you need to build a life model based on your personal values. This includes: define your life goals. Take time to think about and set goals based on what you truly believe in and are passionate about. Create an action plan. Break down your big goals into specific, achievable steps. Then consciously take each step. Monitor and adjust. Whenever you encounter difficulties, see it as an opportunity to adjust your plan, improve yourself, and keep moving forward. People who live by their own values often do not need to wait for recognition or approval from others. They are confident in what they have built and know that true value can never be changed by the words or prejudices of society. Practice. Exercises. Take back control of your life. To help you apply the lessons of this chapter to your life, here are some practical exercises you can start today. Keep a personal values journal. Each night, write down your honest thoughts about the values you believe in. Write down the decisions you made during the day, why you made them, and whether they reflect your personal values. Over time, you will recognize the automatic thought patterns that your manipulative system has created, and you will be able to adjust them to live your life on your own terms. Meditation and mindfulness. Spend at least 15 minutes a day meditating, focusing on your breathing, and listening to your inner voice. When your mind becomes quiet, ask yourself, am I living according to my values, or am I just following the flow of society? Practicing mindfulness helps you practice self-control of emotions and make decisions based on reason, not on temporary emotions. Ask yourself why. Every time you are about to make a decision, even the smallest one, ask yourself, why am I doing this? Is this my own choice, or is it just the result of external influences? Write down your answer and then compare it with the decisions of the following days so that you can gradually practice independent thinking. Challenge yourself with unconventional decisions. Occasionally, make unconventional decisions, not following the crowd's trends, and observe the results. Ask yourself, does this decision truly reflect my values and goals? In doing so, you will gradually develop confidence in your ability to direct yourself and not be easily swept away by the flow of society. As you gradually regain control, you will realize that life is no longer a series of random decisions, but the result of conscious choices based on your personal values. True freedom does not come from gaining approval or recognition from others, but from mastering your own mind, emotions, and actions. Remember, all change starts with you. When you know what you want and have the courage to face the difficult things, you will no longer be a victim of a manipulative system. You will become the master of your life, living according to the core values that you have established for yourself, regardless of all external pressures and prejudices. The power to control your life is not in the hands of others, it is in your hands. Dare to live according to your own values and turn every decision into a solid step towards true freedom. With each lesson, each exercise, and each decision you make based on your personal values, you are gradually removing the constraints set by the psychological manipulation system. Not only will you live a meaningful life, but you will also become an inspiration for those around you. People who together build a community of independent, self-reliant living and never being controlled. In this chapter, we have explored together the journey of regaining control of life through mastering the mind and living according to personal values. You have been guided through the steps from asking yourself, "What do I really want?" through meditation and emotional self-control, to building a life model based on the core values that you believe in. The exercises you have gone through not only help you train your independent thinking, but also help you realize that each of your decisions is an affirmation of your own freedom. Remember, a meaningful life does not come from following the trends of the moment, but from the ability to control yourself and make decisions based on reason and personal values. When you can face and accept failures, turn pain into strength, and from there, take back control of your life, you will no longer be a puppet controlled by the manipulative system. True freedom does not come from avoiding difficulties, but from facing them, learning from them, and turning them into motivation to move forward. If you have followed the journey through these 5 chapters, you have begun the process of training independent thinking and taking back control of your life. Psychological manipulation systems may always exist around you, but as long as you are aware and know how to control yourself, you will never let any manipulation strategy influence your decisions. Psychological manipulation mechanism. Realize that every decision you make may have been guided by an invisible system. Crowd mentality. The majority is always right effect that takes away your ability to direct yourself. Emotional manipulation tactics. How fear, greed, and anger are used to control your behavior. The role of the media. How information is packaged and presented to guide your thinking. Take back control. The journey to becoming the master of your own life through the practice of independent thinking, self-reliance, and living by your personal values. You have entered a journey of awakening, where every decision you make becomes an affirmation of your inner freedom and power. If you feel that this lesson has opened your eyes to how the psychological manipulation system is controlling every decision you make, take action today. Save this video and watch it over and over again. Each time you watch it, you will realize more valuable things to help you regain control. Share this video with your loved ones, so they too have the opportunity to be aware and resist manipulation. Subscribe to the channel today, so you don't miss the next profound lessons on how to master your life and build independent thinking. The psychological manipulation system can control your smallest decisions, but only you have the power to decide your life. Be aware, ask questions, and live by your own values. I am confident that if you apply the lessons and strategies we have shared on this journey, within just a few months, you will feel a huge change, not only in the way you think, but also in the way you live and act. Your life is your own. Don't let anyone or any manipulation system decide for you. Dare to take back control. Dare to live by your own values and turn every decision into a solid step on the path to true freedom. Thank you for following the journey. The psychological manipulation system is controlling your every decision. Remember, every decision you make can change your life, as long as you dare to be independent and live by your true self. Save the video, share it, and subscribe to the channel today, because your freedom, independence, and success are always in your own hands.